This is the Cats and Rats podcast. And now, a special segment.
Hi, everyone. This is Kirby Lupo, host of the Cats and Rats podcast, joined by my co-host here today, Cody Stevens. And we have a special guest. This is someone off my bucket list. I'm amped up for this. This is a gentleman that I listen to as much as I can when he debuts on TSN Overdrive. He's part of the Got Your Back pod. And yeah, this is awesome to have him here with us today. Jason Strudwick, also goes by Struddy. How's it going, Struddy?
I'm good. You know what? You guys really pumping me up. I'm feeling good about myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's the shirt. I did 2 push-ups this morning. Like, God, I need you guys every morning. Give me a call and get me going for the day.
Oh, there we go. Struddy, if you guys don't listen to him on TSN Overdrive or, some Edmonton hits that he does, obviously, he always gets into fashion and what he's wearing, going to his daily trip to Costco or whatever. So, but before we get started here, Struddy, on the Stanley Cup Final, I just want to say, you and I were kindred spirits on this, and Cody's going to laugh here, but I love how you bust chops with the Toronto media. You come on and you just go at the Maple Leafs, and I love it when you go at Mitch Marner, because I love going at Mitch Marner. I know sometimes you add those things in there, and Cody, you know this. So I don't know if you could just speak on that a little bit, Struddy, because a lot of our fan base, they cannot stand Leafs Nation. I just call them harmless. I don't think they're really a problem. They're just funny. I'm like, we match up well against them. We beat them in the playoffs. But yeah, if you could just speak on the Toronto media a bit, because I know our fan base will really appreciate it.
Yeah. So I just have to give the context. Let me give you the background. So when I played in the NHL, now I was on some decent teams, not great teams, and I was on some bad ones. And it always felt like we went into Toronto, that it didn't matter what we were doing. They always asked us about the other team, the Leafs. What's it like playing the Leafs? I remember one time specifically, I was with Chicago and we weren't a good team. We go in to play Toronto, and it was, let's say it was a Thursday, but then they were playing Ottawa on the Saturday. And Ottawa at the time was good, and Toronto was competitive as well. And it just felt like the Leafs media and their fans and their team were giving us no respect. And I remember I was so mad for that game. I got our team pumped up and we beat the Leafs, and we shouldn't have. We weren't a good team. And I remember going off the ice after, I was swearing at the team, you're laughing like us now. What do you think about us now? I was so mad, right? And so from that moment forward, I've always gone out of my way to just go after the Leafs. Now, I do like a lot of the players on their team, but I love seeing the Leafs fans suffer. I enjoy it so much. Every year, if you probably looked at the betting odds right now, they're probably a top 5 team to win the cup next year. Yep. And we all know that's not happening. It is not going to happen. Their team, as it is today, isn't good enough. And I just love how Leafs fans get built up, and then you just cut the legs out from whether it's Panthers or Tampa's beat them or whoever. I just enjoy it so much, and it almost brings me as much joy seeing them lose and some of the teams I'm cheering for win.
Yeah, it's and Cody, I don't want to give him any ammunition, because I know what team Struddy cheers for in the NFL. I don't think he knows what team I cheer for. I cheer for the Dallas Cowboys. So, there's a lot of Leaf and Cowboy comparables there. Cody, you give me shots at my Cowboys.
They're the same. They're the same. Tony Romo, most overrated quarterback of all time. Great analyst.
That's my quarterback.
Great analyst.
That's my quarterback.
Of course it would. Oh, God.
No,
that says a lot.
Curves, man.
Yeah, Kirby, you just lost it. You just lost my respect.
My neighbor, my brother lives 2 doors down from me, and he's an Eagles fan. I had a neighbor move in the middle of me and my brother, and he played with Tony Romo in college. What are the odds of that, What are the odds?
What? Did he win in college? He probably not. He didn't win anything in college either.
He had some rings. He had a European ring. He was a winner.
Yeah, too bad it was
a European ring. What's a European ring?
Yeah, I think he was playing in I can't even Austria, I believe.
Too bad it was
he was an offensive lineman.
Too bad it was the middle of nowhere. So it counts just as much as a little league ring here. So just, but
Cody, we won't get into the Dolphins and everything like that.
Hey, we beat you Christmas Eve. Come at us.
Yeah, you guys hang on a regular season victory, right?
But yes. But hear that story with the Leaf fans and the "We want Florida" chant. It's become synonymous with us ever since we played the Leafs. It's really funny, but now we shift to the actual team of Canada right now. Probably been the best team in Canada for the last 3-4 years. I think Winnipeg had it for maybe a season, and then people thought Calgary had it, and then that series ended pretty quickly. How is the city of Edmonton rocking right now going into this Cup final? Because Florida, I think a lot of people, this is more of just let's get this Cup, more redemption for us. But how's Edmonton feeling? Because it's been since 06 versus Carolina last time they made it?
Yeah, it's been a while, and it's been a bit of a drought here for Canadian teams winning the Cup. But what I see is that, this Oilers team, this is their 9th playoff series in the last 3 years. And there's been some heartache. Like you think about the first year they lose to Colorado in the conference final. And now that was a really good team. And they were, to me, head and shoulders above every team. So it's still hard to lose, but I mean, you lose to Stanley Cup champion. Last year, the Vegas Knights, it just felt like it happened so fast. I know it wasn't a 4-game sweep, but the Oilers were in a lot of games, but ultimately they didn't win those games. And again, that team goes on to the Stanley Cup final, and it's just, that was really hard to take it. It's funny, you make it 3 rounds 2 years earlier, and that one you're not okay with. But last year was just devastating. The city was devastated. Like it was really rough. And now you fast forward to this year, the start of the year, the Oilers are literally in the tank, and it's like, what the hell's going on here? And a lot of concern. This is, we've got a good team here. Why aren't they winning? So they changed the coach, which whether it was going to happen with Jay Woodcroft, I'm not sure, but they changed the coach. Knobloch comes in, and he just seems to have calmed guys down and got everything going in the right direction. Yeah. So the team keeps building, gets winning, gets on a roll. They have, I think the LA series was, relatively easy. Vancouver, obviously 7 games. The last series, Dallas Stars, the Oilers rattle off 3 in a row. They're a good team, really good team. And now here we are. All hockey fans are going to watch a East and West Coast battle here between 2 really good teams. And Oilers fans are really excited. They're excited. They're nervous, obviously, just like, Panthers fans are. You want to get that cup. You're 4 wins away. And this is going to be I think it's going to be a hard and tight series. But Oilers fans are nervous, but really excited to get rolling Saturday.
I just want to piggyback off of Cody's point there, Struddy. If you look from the new calendar year on, could you really have a better Stanley Cup final than this? After the Oilers figured out their coaching situation, after the Panthers get healthy with Brandon Montour, Aaron Ekblad back into the lineup, and also, the injuries to Tkachuk and Bennett. This was not a healthy Panthers team coming into the season. So if you look from January onward, is this the best Stanley Cup final matchup that you could really put down on paper here?
Yeah, and I really respect the way Florida plays. I like their coaching style. I really like their team. Obviously with Barkov and Reinhart and Verhaeghe, and then what's been the second line of really 3 irritating players, and Tkachuk and Bennett, and obviously Rodrigue. Like, they've got a really good top 6, and I think that I'm guessing the lines will be for the Oilers the same with Nuge, with McDavid and Hyman, and then I'm guessing if Kane's okay to be Kane, Holloway, and Leon. Like, to see those 4 lines play against each other, like, that's a dream. We haven't even talked about the goalies. We haven't even talked about the D-men or the bottom 6. Like, that is 6 really good players on each team going at it. So I can't wait to see how these guys stack up against each other.
Yeah. Cody?
I mean, D-man, that's right up my alley. I mean, like I said, my favorite players of all time are all defensemen. Like, my favorite player of all time, Nicholas Lidstrom, who I think is the best defenseman ever.
Struddy played like Lidstrom.
Yeah, very similar. A little bit faster skater though. No disrespect to Nick.
Slight edge, right?
Yeah, but one thing I think flipped the switch for Edmonton, because it's really funny, because Edmonton and Florida won their series the exact same way, winning game 1, dropping games 2 and 3, and then winning the rest. And one thing I saw with Edmonton that flipped the switch was Darnell Nurse was just taking a beating from the media. Like, I felt bad for the guy. Like, he had 2 unfortunate things where, puck goes off his backside at some points. One blocked the shot, one goes in. But he flipped the switch and just became a mean, nasty defenseman who just simplified his game and just went for the body instead of, like, what he used to do, trying to, like, create saucer passes and stuff like that. What was it like just seeing that flip switch in him? Because you watch the Oilers all the time. It's just, I think this is the meanest I've ever seen him.
Yeah, so Darnell has a history of playing really mean and physical. And I think that for whatever reason, he got away from it a little bit. And he took he was kind of, well, you're right. He was kind of thrown under the bus here with the media, not just in Edmonton, but around, because his plus minus isn't great. Now, plus minus in a vacuum isn't always the best thing. You have to look at, was he involved in the play or was he not? But after that kind of confrontation with the media, he really kind of just got dialed in and said, I'm going to be really physical. Came out that night, had 12 hits. I want to say that was game 4 or 5. One of the two.
One of
They
the best
kind of
games
blend
I've
in,
seen him
guys.
play.
Yeah. So you're right, Cody. So I think that when for the Oilers to have success, that he needs to be intimidating and that alpha male on the ice. Looking at Florida, they have a number of alpha males on that team, namely two, Bennett and Kachuk. And, Nurse has to do that. Doesn't mean you have to fight. Doesn't mean you have to be, spearing guys, but you own the tough areas of ice, which is in front of the net and in the corners. And then, we saw after, I think the last 2-3 games with Darnell, he was throwing guys around, falling on them, pushing them down, and letting everybody know that he's the man. And I think that and the reason that I know he can do it is we've seen him do it in previous playoffs. He hadn't done it up to that point. So I wasn't really on board with the plus minus conversation because, again, you can be plus 20 and do nothing right, or you can be minus 20 and do nothing wrong. But he can be and needs to be physical for the Oilers to have success in this final round.
Yep. Struddy, you could take this so many directions, and you kind of already alluded to it, but I want you to kind of give me your answer. If Florida is going to go on to hoist the Stanley Cup in the next couple of weeks here, what is the main reason why they will? And if the Oilers end up hoisting the Stanley Cup here in the next couple of weeks, what is the main reason and that they're going to be hoisting the Stanley Cup?
I've watched quite a bit of Florida in the playoffs. I do, like I said, I really like the way Paul Maurice coaches. I like their team. And I think that the forecheck and pressure that Florida puts on other teams is really going to be a challenge. And that's not being disrespectful to the Oilers D. It's been a challenge and for any group of D, right? Like that, it's really hard. And they're going to pressure you. So for the Oilers D, they have to really be quick back to pucks and make quick plays. We saw them rim a puck a lot in the Dallas series. We saw them flip it out, and we might see more of that. But that is, to me, if Florida can forecheck like they have in the previous series, it's going to be really hard for the Oilers. On the other side, there's a lot of games. I think there are a lot of parts of the Oilers game that are underrated. Obviously, I think their defensive play is not talked about enough, and I believe actually Paul Maurice even said that in his some availability he had Monday. But what I think that is dangerous for Florida is if Florida is going to be aggressive and take penalties, the Oilers power play is a killer right now. It is an absolute assassin. They're so good and they can beat you in so many different ways. So, I guess the series, not that it all hinges on that, but if Florida tries to intimidate and abuse the Oilers and they get called for those penalties and the Oilers score, you'll have to change the way that Florida plays. They can't take penalties. So I think the reffing's can be very big in this series. Not that the Oilers can't beat them 5-on-5, but that is one area. If Florida gets carried away at the penalties and the Oilers go crazy on their power play, it's going to be tough for the Panthers.
Oh boy, Cody Struddy, I think hit it on the head there with the Panthers forecheck being key, because that's something that you and me are big on, Cody. And then Struddy mentioning how this game will be officiated. I've got so much family in the Edmonton area, Struddy, this series. Yeah. It's a lose-lose for me. If the Panthers win the cup, they're going to disown me for the rest of my life and be pissed off at me. If they win, they're going to mock me for the rest of my life. And my one uncle was bringing up how this series is going to be officiated. And I said, Uncle, I'm not worried about how it's going to be officiated. I'm worried about the matchups right now. But he's already got his mind on the refs and how it's going to be officiated. But you mentioning that, I think a lot of Oiler fans do have that front of mind, how this series is going to be officiated because of how the Panthers do play that aggressive bully style.
Yeah, and listen, I want to be clear, guys. I don't think the Oilers can only win by winning on the power play, but I think that's So let's you got to get 4 wins. Let's say there's 2 games where the Oilers go off on the power play, so that's 2 wins, right? So now you got to find 2 more. We saw Stu Skinner just win the game 4 for the Oilers. I guess it was game 6, but the 4th win. So Stu Skinner, maybe he can get him a win. And then they got McDavid and Leon. Do you think those 2 guys can go off for a game? So that's 4 wins right there, right? Like that's how quick it can happen, right? And before you know it, the Panthers, maybe it's going to go really quickly sideways. But just like for the other way for the Oilers, if it's not that closely called series, now they don't have, let's say they only have 1 game where their power play goes off. Now you got to find 3 wins outside of a power play win, right? And that gets a little tricky. So that's where like the margins are so tight. So I can't wait to see how Florida approaches. Like, do they try to take it to the gutter? Do they take it with scrums after the whistle? Do they, early in the series take extra runs at Connor, Leon, Bouchard, Nude? Like it's fascinating because though Skinner. So these are all things that's going to be talked about by the coaching staff to be ready. And I think the Oilers have to be ready for it because I think they're coming. I think Florida's coming for them.
Yep.
That's how they've played. That's how they've done. That's what I saw against the Rangers. Why should they do anything differently, right? But I think you look at the Rangers, like Panarin. He wasn't. I wouldn't say he wasn't
in the
series.
fight. He wasn't in the fight.
No, he wasn't. Mika Zibanejad, neither. But you look at the Oilers, like their stars, Hyman, 54 goals. He's in the fight. McDavid, he's coming. Draisaitl, he's coming, right? Like, but then on the other side, you have, Barkov, who's an elite player. And I think Oilers fans will get a realization of how good he is. So you asked a few questions back. This is a great Stanley Cup final. Stars all over the place and really interesting storylines before game one.
Yep. Yeah. We appreciate Struddy's time here today, Cody. Anything in closing here from you?
Yeah, I mean, it was just an honor to talk to you, Struddy. I mean, great personality as always, an absolute beauty on the ice, even though, like, for me, NHL Slapshot, I scored 50 with you. So you were the heart winner that year.
I can't believe, like, honestly, you must be the greatest player of all time if you can make me score 50 goals. I wish you could.
That's better than Lidstrom, Struddy. That's better than Lidstrom.
Wow, Nick, like I told you earlier, he was too slow. I was much faster than Nick.
But
just kidding, Nick. Don't beat me up.
But appreciate the time, and once again, I can't wait for this. Like, I'm antsy for this fight. I'm mad that we have to wait till June 8th for this.
Yeah, my co-hosts are so young, Struddy. They're like, let's get this going. I'm all about, I'm a former coach too. I'm all about, it's about the journey, not the destination. And it's been a couple years in the making here for the Panthers. And you can even go back further than that with the Oilers, with the drafting of McDavid and Draisaitl. Both these teams have been primed for this for a while, and the Leafs are sitting on the outside here. So it's always good.
And they're going to be sitting there for a while. And what is crazy is that this series goes to the 24th, and then it's draft free agency right after. And both these teams have some things they have to deal with. Like, it's going to be the next month for these two franchises is going to be, heaven or hell. And then you have to deal with everything else after that. Like, the decisions you have to make after, like, who's going to be sober to answer the phone? You know what I mean? Like, if you win or if you lose, you might be drunk as well. So, I think the next
I gotta get Cody down there for rookie camp and all that too, and all that.
I didn't even think about that part because we got two big free agents we got to re-sign.
And I'm not saying it to like scare anyone, and like not that I'm looking past it, but like it's just like for these franchise, it happens. So you could win the Stanley Cup on a Monday, and then you got to try. Oh, I guess maybe they're not. They are. They're going to the Sphere. I think they are having the draft. Yeah. So you have to travel right away and get organized for that, and then figure out your free agency, who you're keeping, who's moving. Like, it's going to be crazy. So the next month, guys, you're going to have lots of content for your pod.
For sure. I appreciate having you with us here today, Struddy. Thank you so much. This is right off my bucket list. Couldn't have asked for anything better. So
thank you.
Wish you all the best too. Anything on the way out, Struddy, where everyone could follow you? What you got going here over the next week or two? Obviously, you're going to be quite busy too.
Yeah, we've got it. You mentioned it, but I appreciate you just plugging it. We got Got Your Back podcast. So you can check it out on anywhere you get a podcast, all Oilers. A lot of talk there. And then obviously, let's just hope that the Cowboys have a 500 season.
Here we go. Shots across the valve.
Oh, sorry.
I'm hear this
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's your fan.
Yeah, my other coach that's not here today, he's a big Cowboys fan as well, and he was there live for that playoff game. So can you imagine? He was in the building for that one. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Struddy.
Anytime, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy the series. I know I will.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. It was an honor. Thank you.